You wake up, everything is technically fine, but something feels off. Like you're moving through your own life, but watching it from a distance, doing all the things, the work, the routine, the scrolling. And somewhere in the middle of all that, a quiet thought appears. Is this it? That feeling has a name, and millions of people are living inside it right now. Something that doesn't scream at you. It just sits there, like a low hum underneath everything you do. You're just drifting. And the hardest part, you can't really talk about it. Because on paper, your life is fine. So when you try to bring it up, you feel guilty, like you don't have the right to feel lost when other people have it worse. But you do have the right, and you are not alone in this. A major study by the Harvard Graduate School of Education found that about 75% of lonely adults reported having little or no meaning or purpose. Not a small group, not a niche problem. Most people walking around feeling like something is missing, but they can't even name what it is. And the harder you try to figure it out, the more lost you feel. Because you're treating it like a puzzle to solve. Like if you just think hard enough, the answer will show up. But here's what most people get completely wrong about feeling lost. Most people treat feeling lost like a malfunction, so they respond by doing more. More goals, more plans, more hustle, more busy. But Viktor Frankl, a psychologist who survived the Holocaust and spent decades studying what keeps people alive on the inside, he found something that changed psychology forever. He said in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, according to logotherapy, this striving to find a meaning in one's life is the primary motivational force in man. That is why I speak of a will to meaning in contrast to the pleasure principle, or, as we could also term it, the will to pleasure, on which Freudian psychoanalysis is cantered, as well as in contrast to the will to power, on which Adlerian psychology, using the term striving for superiority, is focused. In another way, the deepest human motivation is not pleasure or power, but the search for meaning, the need to feel like what you do matters, like you matter. When that's missing, everything feels hollow. You can have a full life on paper and still feel empty inside. Because you're wired for more than just function. You need purpose. Feeling lost is not a malfunction, it's a signal. Your brain's way of saying the meaning supply is low. So if this is just a signal, why is it getting louder for so many people? Why is this generation more lost than any generation before? Well, it seems so, but we don't really know. Every era grapples with unique socioeconomic pressures. But here is our reasons of feeling lost today. The answer is both fascinating and a little unsettling. Back then, our ancestors worked because they had to. They needed food, safety, and a way to survive. Life wasn't as comfortable as it is today, so their work gave them a sense of purpose because it was essential. So they had neither the time nor the comfort to think about the meaning of existence. Then life got easier, and that's genuinely good. But it created a gap. We removed the struggle without replacing what the struggle gave us. And then we added something else. We gave everyone a window into thousands of other lives through social media. A researcher named Leon Festinger studied this decades ago. He called it social comparison theory. Humans are wired to compare themselves to others. We've always done it. But in the past, your comparison group was your village, maybe 50 people. Now, you compare yourself to everyone, every day, every scroll. And when you're already feeling a little lost, seeing other people's curated highlight reels doesn't inspire you. It just makes you feel more behind. Choice doesn't help either. Psychologist Barry Schwartz wrote about this. The more options you have, the easier it is to regret anything about your choice that isn't perfect. You pick something and immediately wonder if you picked wrong, so you never really land anywhere. You're navigating a world that is genuinely hard to navigate. But here's where it gets even deeper. Most of us are chasing things we think will fix the emptiness, but they can't. Let me ask you something. Have you ever worked really hard toward a goal And when you finally got there, you felt nothing, or worse, more empty than before. That's what psychologists call the arrival fallacy. This deep belief that when I get there, I'll feel it. I'll feel whole. I'll feel like enough. Harvard psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar studied this for years. He found that when people reach their most desired goals, the happiness spike lasts a few weeks, maybe a month, then it disappears. And they're right back to where they started. Sometimes lower, because your brain adapts. It's called hedonic adaptation. Whatever you have right now, your brain eventually labels as normal. The promotion becomes normal. The relationship becomes normal. The achievement becomes normal. And then the hunger starts again. So if you've been living in that loop, chasing the next thing, getting there, feeling empty, chasing again, that's what happens when you search for meaning in things that weren't designed to give it. And yet, some people really do seem to have something to wake up for. They have direction, a real sense of forward motion. So what do they actually know that most of us don't? Here's the thing about purpose. You don't find it. You build it slowly, imperfectly, through action, not through thinking. Self-determination theory, one of the most respected frameworks in modern psychology, says humans feel genuinely alive when three core needs are met. First, autonomy. The feeling that your choices are actually yours, that you're not just running someone else's script. Second, competence. The feeling that you're getting better at something, that you're capable. Third, relatedness. The feeling that you actually matter to someone, that your presence makes a real difference, not success, not money, these three things. And when you look at people who feel purposeful, they're not usually doing something extraordinary. They're just doing things that hit at least one of those three. They're creating something, they're learning something, they're showing up for someone. Purpose doesn't arrive in one dramatic moment of clarity. It builds from small ones. A conversation that actually matters. A project you genuinely care about. A moment where someone needed you and you showed up. Frankl said it like this: we needed to stop asking about the meaning of life and instead to think of ourselves as those who were being questioned by life, daily and hourly. Our answer must consist not in talk and overthinking, but in right action and in right conduct. But even when people understand this intellectually, something keeps pulling them back into the fog. Something that happens in your brain, automatically, without your permission. There's a part of your brain called the default mode network. It's basically what your brain does when you're not focused on anything. It starts wandering. And in that wandering state, it does two things automatically. It replays the past, searching for regret, and it imagines the future, searching for threat. It was designed this way. It kept our ancestors alive. But in a world where most threats aren't physical, that wandering mind just loops on what you haven't done, on what others are doing, on the version of you that you thought you'd be by now. And here's what makes feeling lost so sticky. When you don't feel pulled toward anything, you spend more time in that wandering state because nothing is demanding your full attention. So the default mode fires more comparison, more regret, more fog, more empty, and it feeds itself. The only thing that breaks the loop, real engagement. Not forcing yourself to be positive, not affirmations. Just doing something that actually requires your presence, something that pulls you out of your head and into what's right in front of you. That's why some people feel most alive when they're creating or training or building something, not necessarily because those things are the purpose, but because they interrupt the loop. They cut through the noise. And in that quiet, something real can actually start to grow. So what do you actually do about this? Practically, because telling someone to find your passion is probably the most useless advice anyone can give. Let's be honest, if you're feeling lost, you don't need another motivational quote. You need something real. So here's what actually works, based on what the research consistently shows. First, stop waiting to feel ready. Motivation doesn't come before action, it comes after it. You don't feel inspired and then start. You start, and then something shifts, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't. Second, look for what already bothers you. What do you care about enough to be frustrated by? Anger, restlessness, sadness around certain things. Those aren't obstacles. Those are signals. They're pointing at what already matters to you. Follow the feeling, not the quote. Third, shrink the question. What's my purpose is too big. Your brain freezes at questions that size. Instead, ask yourself, what's one thing I could do this week that would make me feel like I actually contributed to something? Just that, one real thing. Build from there. And fourth, give yourself something to offer. Because one of the most consistent findings in meaning research is this: one of the fastest ways to feel less lost is to make someone else feel less alone. A real conversation, a real moment of showing up for someone that activates the exact neural pathways your brain connects to reward and meaning. It's not just kindness, it's healing your own sense of purpose at the same time. But there's one more piece, and most people skip this completely. It might be the biggest factor of all. Connection, real connection, not followers, not having people around you, real connection, where someone actually knows you, where you can say, I have no idea what I'm doing without performing okayness. The Surgeon General of the United States declared loneliness a public health crisis. Studies worldwide show the same thing. People who lack real belonging don't just feel sadder, they literally think less clearly. They struggle with meaning more. They lose their sense of direction faster. Because human beings were not designed to navigate life alone. We're wired for community. Our brains were literally built to operate inside one. When that's missing, even partly, everything feels heavier, meaning feels further away. And here's the painful truth. In a world more connected than ever on the surface, people are feeling more alone than ever underneath, because surface connection doesn't feed what your brain actually needs. Likes don't do it. Followers don't do it. You need to feel known, not just seen. So many people who feel lost are actually feeling lonely, not necessarily without people around them, but without a space where they can be honest, where they can show up as they actually are. And it matters more than most people admit. You can't build meaning entirely in isolation. You need at least one person who makes you feel like your existence is worth something. That's not weakness. That's just how we work. So let's bring it all together. Feeling lost is not a character flaw. It's not laziness. It's not you being ungrateful. It's a signal from a very human brain saying, I need more than just comfort. I need something to mean something. In the world we live in, it's really good at giving us comfort and really bad at giving us meaning. So the gap grows. We try to fill it with the wrong things. And when those things don't work, we blame ourselves. But now you know something different. Meaning doesn't just arrive. You build it through small, real actions, through following what already bothers you, not just what excites you, through giving something to someone, through letting yourself actually be known by at least one real person. You don't have to have it figured out. You just have to take the next real step. And then the next one after that. And slowly, the fog starts to lift. Not all at once, but enough. Now, here's something I want you to sit with. If feeling lost is about meaning, then the deeper question underneath all of this is, why do you think the way you think? Because so many of the thoughts that make you feel lost, those thoughts didn't come from nowhere. Your brain learned them, and it runs them automatically, without your permission, without asking whether they're even true. And when you don't understand how your brain actually generates thoughts, you can't separate yourself from them. You just experience everything they say as reality. That's exactly what this next video goes into. If understanding yourself is something you care about, watch this video.